bit about what I'm getting up to and why. This bed is in zone 9B. Therefore, planting winter squash is really now an ideal time. First, because I have potatoes growing here and I wanted to give those time to grow out. I let the plants die off, and then now the bed is ready to be turned over, right? So the nice thing about that timing is that I can go ahead and plant my winter squashes now. I don't really like to plant winter squashes too early in the spring because then it's just taking up a ton of space, and I don't really want to take up that space with stuff that I'm just gonna like leave in until fall. So I'm following what a lot of farmers do in this area, and that is plant some of these crops for planting around June so that they come in fall. If you are not familiar with this area, zone 9B, September is the hottest month that we experience all year. So really this timing makes a lot of sense. I'll show you how I plan for it, and I'm going to go ahead and put seeds in now. If we get an unexpected heat wave, today is miraculously cool, but we've already had a couple of heat wave days where we were 100 degrees or more this season. So I'll show you how I plan for that if we do have some unexpected heat. The only thing that could go wrong in this planting is if we have unexpected heat and it hits the seedlings at the wrong time. But that's okay. If it happens, we'll cover them up with some fabric. We have a plan for it. So there's nothing wrong at all with planting during this time as long as you have a plan for what could happen and what will happen, and then you're just ready for it. My name is Wendy. I've been planting about a dozen years in this hot planting zone of zone 9B. I am slightly obsessed with heirloom seeds. I love to both grow from seed and save seed. I'm a big seed saver. So if you're interested, please subscribe and follow along what we're going to get up to this summer. I'm going to put winter squashes in first. I have a pink banana squash, and I also have a Waltham butternut squash. Those are going to go along the back, and I have the drip line already set out so that I can be sure and plant the seeds along the drip line. Super important because we want to make sure throughout the growing cycle we're giving consistent water. Not a lot of water, but consistent water. Any plant that's growing in your garden, even in this hot climate, is 1 to 2 inches of water per week. What I decided to do is to upcycle some soil from a fabric bag that I was not going to use this season. I thought, well, I'll just reuse that soil. I do this often. It is an inexpensive way of reusing soil. First, it's good for the environment, but also that soil that's been used to grow some perpetual spinach over the spring, and so that soil is pretty nutritious, so it's good to reuse that. So it's perfect for this bed, and I'm using it now. My trick: I like to plant my squashes in a good amount of compost. I saved in that bucket compost that I have been saving up for this project. Now, I like to just mix it with a little bit of potting soil. Sometimes I plant this directly into complete compost, but for some reason today, probably because I didn't have that much left, frankly, this is like one of the last plantings I'll do for the season, so I am almost out of compost. So this works fine. I just take it and mix it in with some potting soil, and I make a little hill, and that will actually build the base of where I'm planting my winter squash. So, the overall plan for this bed. In the back, we've got the winter squash that can spill off the sides and up this trellis. In the middle, we have the beans. Those will kind of create like a little bit of a canopy, cool down the roots, and then also just provide a good nitrogen fix for the winter squash. And then we've got the flowers that will provide the pest resistance. What I will do is make sure that I'm planning the drip line to go underneath the mound, the little hill. So I'm going to plan to put 2 to 3 seeds per hill all along, get the drip line so that it's just underneath the hill there, and then we're going to let the squash grow up this heavy trellis. This is reinforced with rebar and zip tied, so it's not going anywhere. We get high winds around here, so this is just how I prepare my trellising. I do trellising for a couple of reasons. One, we have a big problem with squash bugs. If you're in zone 9B, you may be familiar with this. It's terrible. They've really infested my plants in some years. So I now run them up trellises, and I notice that I don't have as many problems with squash bugs now since I started trellising. It helps a lot. It just makes it a little bit more confusing for squash bugs to find what they want. That's one reason. Two is a space saver, right? This saves a ton of space. If you're growing in a relatively small space, if you grow vertically, you're in good shape because you save that space for growing in the bed. Okay, going with our Waltham butternut squash. All right, I poured out quite a few, but I'm just gonna go 3 per hill. And these go down about 1/2 inch or so. And we're gonna water it thoroughly. Go. Give that a good cover. And here we go. Pink banana squash. It's funny, when I found this one, I was looking for, I had grown something similar in shape to this. I'm always looking to grow for pies. I love making a pie. When I found this one online, I thought, it looks similar to the North Georgia candy roaster, but looks a little bit different. And I'm always up to planting something a little different than I've grown previously, so thought I'd give this one a try. I am only going to plant 2 per spot here. A little earthworm in there, that's good. You can stay there. I'm going to go 1 and a 2. And then in this hill, same thing, 1, 2. And I always save my seed at the end of the season. We'll go over that together, but I just start with 2. I'm quite sure these are going to sprout, so I'm not worried about it. I went with a fewer seeds on this because this didn't come with as many seeds as I expected. There's maybe 6 more in here, but anyway, it's nice to kind of save these for future. But I do plant, and if these work out, I'll pick the best looking ones, and then I'll save the seed to use next time. If you're planning to save your seeds, just an aside, look for any seed that says heirloom or open pollinated. That's your cue that you can save that seed. The nice part about having those winter squashes and hills is you don't lose where they are. So now we're going to go for some pinto bean sowings all along the drip line here and around. I tend to like to grow things in clusters. I just like the more natural look. So I don't exactly plant them in a row when it comes to the pinto beans. I'll show you what I mean. Here's our hill with the winter squash, and then maybe a foot away I'm going with a sowing of these pinto beans. Now these pinto beans, this is nice to go right close to the squash because beans will sow a bit of nitrogen into the soil, so it'll be helpful for the squashes to have that handy. Now with beans, I always like to plant with the eyeball up. It's a little bit of an old wives' tale. There's really no proof that works better than any other way, but it's just what I like to do. It's your garden, you do what you like to do. I go just 1 per spot, about 1/2 inch down, and I go in a cluster of 3. 1, 2, 3. I space them about 1/2 foot apart. I want to get in as many as I can here because I'm planning on just leaving these in the ground and letting them dry. So I'm not going to do multiple sowings of these. And then I'm going to have these for storage for the rest of the winter. Pintos are always handy to have. I love pinto beans. Pintos are an incredible heirloom seed. They've been grown for centuries. I'm sticking around the drip line again because I want to just make sure that you're using water as efficiently as possible. So I keep it right around the drip line. All right, I just had 2 there, so we'll go for a 3rd. All right, beans are in. I'm going to go for some sowing of nasturtium. Thought the burgundy and the peach look really pretty together. I have these sown together in another spot, but I'll plant 1 or 2 seeds, and these are going to go around the edges here. Nasturtium doesn't entirely die off for us here with our relatively mild winters, but if it does die off, they will come right back next year. So this is a good spot that I can use for next year as well. We'll just leave everything in place in terms of the nasturtium. I'll plant some zinnias here along the front, and then more nasturtium around the side. As they emit a bit of a peppery smell, squash bugs dislike the smell, so the goal is to keep squash bugs away. Now, I am aware that you can soak these overnight before planting, but I've never found that makes a huge difference, so I'm not going to do it now. But I'm going to put 2 peach, and then I'll put 1 black velvet right here. Then in the center here, I picked the pink and the purple to kind of go together. I thought that would be cute. I'm going to put a couple of zinnias here. I'm going to do 1 plant of zinnias here, and I'm going to do the same over here between these onions. These onions are going to come out, mind you, in a couple weeks. And then I'm going to do French marigold all around the side a bit. The goal here is to water everything now that I've got everything in, and then keep this very moist. Now once I start to see the sprouts come up, then I'm going to provide mulch. But for now, I'm just going to let everything sit out so that the sun can reach it. In this area, we get a lot of wind, and my mulch can sometimes blow around. So I don't want to provide mulch right now on the chance that could cover the seedlings as they're starting to grow up. But once those present, I'll put mulch down, straw mulch, and let that keep the bed moist and the roots cool. Keep up with this watering daily. Make sure that this bed stays continually moist, especially if it's windy out or if it's hot out. You want to make sure to keep a good moisture on this bed. And I usually water from up top rather than from the drip system until I start to see the seedlings emerge, and then I start to water from the drip system. Coming soon, I have designs on this bed. So this far bed is the one I planted out, and this one is coming next. I'm gonna go ahead and prep it, and I'll follow up on another video soon. In this bed, I plan to do something similar, more plants to dry out and save for the fall and winter for dry storage. So I'll put some beans, a different bean, and I'm not gonna do squash, but I am gonna do glass gem corn in a block. That is gonna be cool. I've never grown corn for grain before, but that is my plan. So if you want to stick around for that, I think it's going to be super fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. See you then.